the 3 core fundamentals of game. Okay, these 3 core fundamentals are basically the keys to the Magic Kingdom in pickup, cold approaching beautiful women, creating attraction out of thin air. Without these 3 core fundamentals, it doesn't matter how talented you are, your game's not really going to go far. You know, you might do well from time to time, but you're not going to have any consistency in your game, and you're not going to be able to close those hotter women who are above an 8 in looks. You know, you might have some success with women who are like 5, 6s, maybe some 7s, but without these 3 core fundamentals implemented into your own game, you're going to struggle. Okay, and I've been teaching pickup and game for pretty much my entire adult life, over 2 decades now. I've approached tens of thousands of women, and this is something that not only myself, but any experienced pickup artist, especially an experienced pickup instructor, will tell you that this is basically the 3 core fundamentals that all methods of pickup come back to, all methods of game. Okay, so what are they? What are the 3 core fundamentals? Let's just go through them real quick. All right, so the first one is freedom from outcome. Okay. The second one is entitlement, and the third one is congruence. Let's briefly go through these. Okay, so first one, freedom of outcome. What does that mean? Why must you have freedom of outcome when you cold approach a beautiful woman? The reason why you need freedom from outcome is because when you are outcome dependent, what that translates to the girl as is agenda. Okay, so you might see a lot of guys who see a hot girl and then they'll go up and try to approach her, and quickly the girl's kind of like, ugh, like disgusted by him, or she's like quickly turned off, you know. And I mean, and the guy could be really good looking, but if he approaches her with agenda, right? For example, say all he could think about is having sex with her or getting in her pants, that's going to come out in his game. Okay, everything he does and says to her and with her during their interaction is going to come off as outcome dependent, as agenda seeking, like he's trying to get something from her. Okay, it's no different than you being out and say you're going to like a 7-Eleven, right? And there's some homeless guy standing out front and he's looking right at you. He can't wait for you to get out of your car. You're like, oh my God, dude, all I want to do is go in there and get some Twinkies, right? But here's this guy like waiting for you to get out, and you know what he's gonna do, right? He's gonna ask you for change. He is gonna try to bump some money off you. So when you do get out of your car, you're like, you know, because you know what he wants from you, right? He's not trying to hide it. You know what he wants from you, right? He's just full of agenda. He's loaded with agenda. And unfortunately, most guys, when they approach a girl or when they talk to a girl, they are loaded with agenda. This is why when you see these chumps in bars buying women drinks, do they ever get anywhere with that? No. The girl takes a drink and she just wanders off and she's like, thanks, chump. Thanks for the free drink, right? And there are a lot of women who will just go to bars knowing that guys will buy them free drinks, right? A lot of these betas, a lot of these simps, a lot of these blue pill idiots who don't watch coaching videos like this, they're still out there in these bars and clubs buying women free drinks, thinking that it's going to result in her having sex with him, right? These guys are loaded with agenda. Okay, so that's the first lesson in game, is you must be free from outcome. You must simply not care what happens. So when I go out there and I'm cold approaching girls, in the back of my mind, I know what the result is, right? I know I want to get this girl into my life, but I block that out of my mind, right? And I simply focus on having a solid interaction with her. I focus on getting to know her. I focus on demonstrating value, letting the girl know and showing her that, hey, I'm a cool guy. I'm not socially awkward. I'm not weird. I'm not going to chop your head off or do anything crazy like that, you know? And I build an emotional connection with her. I get her to invest in me, all the while not attaching an outcome to that. Like, oh, okay, since I sat here and talked to you, you better give me those digits, girl. I want that number. No, I'm just like, okay, I just sit there and I have a conversation with the girl. It's very much like playing in a Super Bowl, right? Say your team makes it to the Super Bowl. When you're there in the Super Bowl, are you actually sitting there thinking about, oh, I can't wait to go home with that trophy. I can't wait to be the Super Bowl champ. No, you're just out there and you're playing the game, right? Sure, in the back of your head, you know that you want to win. That's what you're there to do. You know that you do want to take home that trophy, but that's not your focus. Your focus is on playing a solid game, right? Your focus is on not making mistakes. Your focus is on putting the ball in the end zone as many times as possible, right? The last thing on your mind is like, oh man, I gotta get that trophy, man. Oh, look at that trophy up there. I gotta get that trophy. No, you're too busy playing the game. So when I'm out there cold approaching, that's basically what's going through my mind. Is I'm just focused on playing the game, playing solid game. And then at the end of that, as long as I played solid game, I usually get the result that I wanted, right? So freedom from outcome is the first core fundamental of game. Now the second core fundamental of game is a little something called entitlement, okay? You must feel entitled to the girl, because if you don't feel entitled to the girl, you're gonna screw up, right? You're gonna say all the wrong things, you're gonna do all the wrong things, you're gonna come off socially awkward, you're going to filter yourself, you're gonna try to tell her things and say things that you think that she would like versus things that you actually like, okay? And when you do that, when you have that lack of entitlement, that by default comes off as agenda seeking, as outcome dependent, right? So it's very, very important that you feel entitled to the girl. And entitlement is an interesting thing, because from what I've found teaching guys as long as I have, is most guys' level of entitlement is generally for a woman around a 5 or 6 in looks. That's what I found. You might think to yourself, nope, I'm entitled to 10s, right? But then when you're standing in front of a 10, you don't feel entitled. You're kind of getting sucked into her beautiful woman spell, and you're actually getting nervous and intimidated by her because she's so good looking, right? She's so physically attractive that you're like, what should I say? And then you find yourself qualifying yourself to her, right? You find yourself qualifying yourself, telling her like, oh yeah, oh girl, I've got this great job. Oh yeah, I just bought this cool car, this new car. Yeah, I just moved into this badass house, and you find yourself qualifying yourself to her because you don't feel entitled to her. And like I said, most guys, their level of entitlement for a woman is generally a woman who's a 5 or 6 in looks. So what I teach students to do is raise the bar in their head, raise their level of entitlement, okay, for the hotter women. I teach guys how to do that, and it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, for some guys it takes practice. And the quickest way to find out whether or not you feel entitled to a girl is if you're standing in front of her, and you'll either feel two things. Either you're going to feel aroused by her, okay? Or you're going to feel the need to qualify yourself to her. Now, if you feel aroused by her, that means that you're entitled to her. And like I said, for most guys, that's a girl who's about a 5 and 6 in looks. I'm just saying this from experience. Like the thousands of students that have come through my door, that I've taken out, that have come my way. For them, like, they feel that sexual arousal for girls who are 5s or 6s. But then once I put them in front of a girl who's like an 8 or a 9, especially a dime piece, a 10, all of a sudden that arousal goes away, and all of a sudden they're like nervous, they're intimidated, and then they find themselves qualifying themselves to her. Like, oh yeah, they try to like fix their hair, they try to like fix their, like, worried about their shirt. Oh, make sure I don't have any like stains on this. They have to like check their mirror. Oh shit, yeah. Whereas when the girl's 5 or 6, they don't care. They feel entitled to her. They're like, yeah, what's up, girl? They're not filtering themselves. They're not like trying to watch what they say. They're acting through their own intentions, which is a big key for feeling entitled, is acting through your own intentions. And that's normally not with a girl who's above an 8 in looks. So what I teach students to do is raise their level of entitlement, so that when they are standing in front of an 8, 9, or 10, a particularly attractive woman, a beautiful woman, a gorgeous woman, they're not going to feel that hint of nervousness. They're not going to feel the need to qualify themselves to her. Instead, they'll be able to be their natural, genuine and authentic selves. Okay, which brings me to the third and final core fundamental of game, which is probably the most important core fundamental of game, and that is called congruence. Okay, what does congruence mean? Congruence means being aligned in your thoughts, words, and actions. Okay, you must be aligned in your thoughts, words, and actions whenever you approach any beautiful woman. Okay, even just a cute girl, you have to be aligned in your thoughts, words, and actions. You have to be congruent. Okay, because if you're incongruent, if there's a misalignment in your thoughts, words, and actions, believe me, she is going to sense that. And the hotter she is, the quicker she will sense that. Because hot girls are super calibrated, right? These chicks are just massively calibrated. They could sense agenda and bullshit a mile away. Okay, so you must be congruent. And this is a skill that took me a while to master. But once I did, I mean, you know, it took my game to a whole new level, as it will your own game. Okay, and I've mentioned in a number of coaching videos how women will kind of like look in you the eye to look for that congruence, right? She'll kind of see if there's any dilation or any flinching in your eyes. I have women do that to me constantly that I meet in field, especially girls that I claw, right? Girls that I do a high risk approach on. I'm like, boom, you, come here. Who are you? What's your name? I spin her around, I dip her, might make out with her, and all of a sudden her emotions like, oh my God, who is this guy? You know, and like she's like, come home with me. You know, before she does that, right, she'll be like, wait a minute. You know, and she'll like take a second to look in my eyes. She'll like, literally, it's freaky how some girls will just do this. This happens all the time. This actually just happened the other night, right, where I was doing this with a girl and she was like, what did you say your name was? I was like, Matt. She was like, Matt what? I was like, Matt Cross. And then she was like, wait, hold still. She wasn't even where she was doing it. She was like, I'm like, what? And she was like, no, I just want to look in your eyes. And then you just saw this big smile come upon her and she was like, do you want to leave? And I'm like, let's go. Right? But it's just funny how so many targets have done that to me. Like, they just can't believe it, because so many guys can pull that off, right? They could fake that. They could fake like maybe a claw and whatnot, but then, and you might have been in this situation too, where you just come in like high energy on a girl and she's like, oh my God, who are you? And then within 30 seconds to a minute, it quickly dies off. And then she realizes like, this guy is not who he's presenting himself to be. He is not this cool. This is not real, right? And then just to double check, she might look in your eyes like, and then all of a sudden she's like, okay, well, it's nice meeting you. And it's so freaky. I've seen that happen a number of times, especially with newbie students, right? Because they see me do the claw and then they do it too. They're able to mimic what I just did, right? But, and especially the hotter the girl is, the more she's going to like just kind of filter you out. But they're able to mimic it, and then the girl, you know, it's like she'll start just kind of sitting back and observing him, and then the more she observes him, the more she sees like, okay, no, there's a misalignment here in his thoughts, words, and actions. There's a misalignment. Okay, it's like he's acting like this, but there are parts of his character here that are not supporting that type of action from him, right? So congruence is huge, guys. And this is stuff that I teach you in 7 Months of Mastery. So if you're in my program now, you know all this stuff, right? I mean, this is why this stuff is so valuable. And it's not only valuable for picking up, you know, beautiful women and bringing them into your life, but it's just a valuable skill for life. As I teach you guys, pickup is the #1 self-development tool for men that there is on the planet. And it just saddens me when I get a lot of guys like, oh, pickup's a scam. Oh, it doesn't work and blah, blah. And it's like, dude, if you don't want to pick up women, if you don't want to use it to pick up women, that's fine. But this is a powerful skill you can use in every area of your life outside of picking up women if you don't want to do that. Okay? So, you know, and I've studied all forms of self-development for men. I was like a self-development junkie at one point. I was reading all the books, you know, just like watching thousands of hours of coaching videos on male self-development. And let me tell you, nothing has been more powerful and more effective than pickup. Right? I mean, I really owe like all the success in my life to game and pickup. You know, beyond just attracting, you know, really great looking women in my life. I mean, just my business life, my corporate career that I had before I started my own business, the investments I've made. I mean, the deals that I've been able to negotiate have all come as a result, you know, the success of that has all come as a result of having the skill of pickup and game. And these are 3 core fundamentals of pickup and game that you can use, again, not only to just bring really great looking women into your life, but to take your own life to a whole new level, you know, and really just shift that paradigm. So I'm gonna wrap up here. That's all I have to say for today's coaching video. Until next time, this is M from the 33 Secrets. Do not forget to destroy that like button. Do it right now. Also, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on YouTube. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Very important you guys subscribe. And for you guys who want to support my work even further, the best way to do that is by jumping into my monthly online coaching program, 7 Months to Mastery, where I am teaching guys just like you how to go out there and approach and close the youngest, hottest, and most beautiful looking women on the planet. I'm talking about 8s, 9s, and 10s, the type of women that most of your guy friends will only see in magazines. And right now, the first month is only $1, only $1 for the entire first month of coaching lessons. This is the absolute best way to support me, my work, my content, my channel, and everything I'm doing here on YouTube and all the value I'm adding to your life. It's the best way to support my work, and it's really easy to get signed up. All you need to do is click that link below in my description box. It will take you over to my website where you can get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds. So do that now, and I will see you in my next coaching video.